everybody. So this morning I want to talk about compatibility in astrology, right? But I want to talk about it from the perspective of you as an individual and what you as an individual bring into the relationship and how, because you gotta understand who you are, understand how you are perceived by the other person, and then understand what the other person needs to have to complete you, because otherwise you are going to be trying to get water out of a stone. You are going to be trying to get something out of somebody that he or she does not have. Okay, so it's important that you know your natal chart, know yourself, know what you bring into a relationship before you go into one, especially if it's a serious one that may lead to marriage or something like that. Okay, so first of all, you're going to look at your sun. Okay, your sun is your ego. Your sun is important because your sun is how you approach life, is your perspective on life. All right, so if your sun is touching any major planet like Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, it already tells you that you are going to present your sun sign in a way that is different. If your sun, for instance, is conjunct Saturn, you're going to have a very limited perception of your own self-esteem, right? You're also going to think of life as a tough place, as a hard place. You're going to be looking for security and stability. You're not going to be very playful at all. So you're going to be looking for seriousness in relationships. So when you come in contact with a man, if you're a woman, or a woman if you're a man, you're going to give off this vibe that you're serious all the time. And depending on the woman, she may be repelled or attracted by it. If your sun is touching Uranus, right, you are very unorthodox, you are very unconventional. So you are going to be looking for that in a relationship. You're going to be looking for somebody different. You're going to be looking for love that is different, something that is interesting. People are going to bore you. Regular Joes will bore you. If your sun is conjunct Neptune, you are going to have a very diffuse, like, you are the kind of person that may have a very, you are not able to have a, first of all, for yourself, you have a very hard time having a crystal view of who you are, right? A crystal or crystallized perception of yourself, right? So when you meet somebody, you are more at risk of projecting onto the person what you think they are, not who the person really is. So you gotta watch that. And then if your sun is conjunct Pluto, you have a very intense personality, and so people are going to perceive that, and it may rub people off wrong. They're like, she is too much because you are so intense. Okay, only very few people can handle Capricorn effect, which is sun in Capricorn or sun conjunct Saturn, and Pluto effect, which is sun in Scorpio or sun conjunct Scorpio. Everybody can't deal with that kind of intensity. So you need to know yourself. And then people with sun in Aquarius or sun conjunct Uranus, you can't be with everybody because you are so unorthodox, you are so different that you have to have somebody who understands you to be with you. So everybody can handle you. And then sun in Neptune, sun conjunct Neptune or sun in Pisces, you are the one that people will use the most. You are the one at risk for being used if you're not careful. Okay, so you gotta know this about yourself. The next thing you need to know about yourself is where your Chiron is. Your Chiron is your soul deep wounding that you brought into this life. Okay, and so Chiron, like every planet, is in science too. Okay, so if the Chiron has to do with the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth zodiac signs, which is in Aries, Gemini, Taurus, Leo, and Cancer, is going to affect you in relationships. Because number one, like for instance, if your Chiron is in Aries, you have a hard time expressing yourself. Okay, so if you can't express yourself, you're not going to be your true self in relationships. You're going to have a hard time in relationships. If your Chiron is in Taurus, right, you'll have a poor sense of value. You have a hard time with your value. You have a hard time coming up with what you feel about yourself and with a sense of value. That's where your wounding is, right? So depending on the house where it's at, like mine is in the 7th house of relationships, it manifests in that house. But Chiron in Taurus period has to do with a wounding as it pertains to your sense of value as a person, as it pertains to what you feel you deserve, right? So if you have Chiron in Taurus, you are going to have a problem in relationships, period. If you have Chiron in Gemini, you have a hard time voicing your mind. You have a hard time speaking your truth. So in relationships, you're going to feel overshadowed. You're going to feel not heard. You're going to feel not seen. It's not the person's fault. It's because you can't speak your truth. If you have a Chiron in Cancer, you have a hard time opening up. You have a hard time letting people in. You're going to have a hard time in relationships. If you have a Chiron in Leo, you have a hard time expressing your childlike qualities. You have a hard time expressing that star quality, or the you have a hard time expressing yourself, period. Not in the way of Aries. The Aries person has a hard time asserting themselves. You have a hard time expressing yourself. You're going to have a hard time in relationships with that. Okay, so it's important that you know these things. The next one that you need to know is your Juno. Your Juno is your soulmate. Not the because sometimes when we think of soulmate, we think of the other person. No. Who is your soulmate? What energy does your soulmate need to have to complete you? Your soulmate is out there, and your soulmate expresses itself in your zodiac sign or in your natal chart as an energy. What is the energy of your soulmate? Because the energy of your soulmate will represent what you need to overcome, will represent you are self-actualized. So sometimes when people are insecure, they have a soulmate that will challenge that insecurity. For instance, I have a lot of Scorpio that tells you that I dealt with a lot of insecurity. My soulmate is Aquarius. My soulmate is Aquarius. For you to be able to attract an Aquarian soulmate, you better have overcome all your insecurity, at least a lot of them, to be able to handle the Aquarian, because the Aquarian person is very detached and is not the conventional relationship person. Does this make sense? So my soulmate is an Aquarian. My man has Aquarian energy. His soulmate is Cancer. His Juno is in Cancer. Okay, and so he had to have been able to overcome his need for freedom, because he has a lot of Sagittarius in his chart, and Sagittarians are very freedom oriented. So for him to be able to experience the love of his soulmate, he needed to have overcome his need for freedom. So it's so important that you know your natal chart, because if you have a Juno that is contrary to what is in your natal chart, is an indication to you right there that you have to do all that work to be able to embrace the energy of your soulmate. This is all a cosmic plan. And then the other thing you need to know is your north node and your south node. Your south node is where you have been. Your north node is where you are going. A lot of people, you don't want to fall in love with somebody whose north node who is going to where you came from. For instance, if your north node like mine is in Virgo, you don't want to fall in love with someone who has a south node in Virgo. That means they are going to the opposite direction of where you are going. You are going towards the Virgo north node, right? They are going towards the opposite north node, which is Pisces. You guys are going to pull each other in two different directions. You want to be with somebody who is going in the same direction that you are going, because life will send both of you the same experience, so that both of you are going in the same direction. Otherwise, if you have somebody who is going in the opposite direction, you're going to be pulled in the opposite direction, and life is not going to let that happen. That relationship is not going to survive. So it's important that you know yourself first. Because if you know yourself first, then you know who you are, and then you can be able to look at your partner and say, okay, this is who I am, this is who my partner is, and then what do I bring to him and what does he bring to me? But if you don't know yourself, then no way you can know what you bring to your partner or what your partner brings to you. You can know that. You're up in there, let's say you have a Juno in Cancer, and your man has a Juno in, I don't know, Aquarius, for instance, then no way, if you have not overcome your feelings of insecurity, then no way that man is going to satisfy you. No way. Because you're up in there trying to make him what he's not. Does this make sense? So it's important that you get to know yourself, get to understand yourself, get to know what you bring into a relationship. And even if you're already in a relationship, you gotta study yourself to be able to get the best out of that relationship. Study yourself and then study your partner, so that both of you can, with self-awareness, work to create the magic that you want. It's not going to be automatic. Okay?